This lesson is on section 4.8, titled The Least Common Multiple. You're also going to see the least common multiple written as LCM for short. And a couple vocabulary terms you need to understand is that a multiple is a product of a number and any whole number. Okay, so multiple, think multiply. Okay, and then least common multiple is the smallest multiple that two or more numbers have in common. Okay, so we have to think of multiple multiply and least common multiple, so that smallest number or smallest multiple that two or more numbers have in common. Okay, and the whole reason that we find least common multiple, and it's used to find common denominators when we're adding fractions, subtracting fractions, doing that type of fraction operations. We really need to find common denominators, so we have to use least common multiple to help us to do that. So for our first example is to find the least common multiple of 6 and 10. All right, so kind of similar to what we did with finding the greatest common factor is we're going to have a list of numbers, but instead of having a list of factors like we did in the greatest common factor, we're going to have a list of multiples. So I'm going to list all the multiples of 6. So I know 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. Usually what I like to say is kind of like a rule of thumb is to go out about 5 multiples. And then we can always adjust from there. Okay, so I list my 5 multiples of 6. Now I'm going to list about 5 multiples of 10. So 10s are easy. 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 10 times 3 is 30. Oh, and if you notice, I can stop listing the multiples because I actually found one that they have in common. I actually found the smallest one that they have in common, because if I keep going out more, I'm going to end up getting larger multiples, and that's not the goal with least common multiple. We want to find the smallest multiple they have in common. So I can stop right there, and I know that 30 is the least common multiple of 6 and 10. I mean, I could have kept going out 5 multiples like I said before, and said 40 and then 50, but there's no point, and let's try to save ourselves time when doing these types of problems. So once you notice that they have a multiple in common, you can just stop. Now my next example has two numbers that are a little bit tougher. It says find the least common multiple of 45 and 75. So I'm going to list out the multiples of 45 first. I know 45 times 1 is 45. And I know 45 times 2, let me think, is 90. But 45 times 3, let me see, 45 times 3, you notice it might just take some work to have to do this. 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So I have 135. And let me just erase my work so that I have some room. Okay, so 45 times 4, let's see, 16 plus 2 is 18, 180. So that's 4 multiples. Let's go out one more just to be safe. And let's do 45 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 20 plus 2 is 22. 225. Okay. So we can stop there. We might have to add some later, but I'm just going to stop at 5 for now. Okay. So let's list the multiples now of 75. Okay. And I think of 75 like quarters, like 3 quarters or 75 cents, and that's easier to help me multiply. 75 times 1 is 75. 75 times 2, so if I add 3 plus 3 quarters together, it's going to make $1.50 or 150. 75 times 3, if you don't like thinking money, you can always go off to the side and do your multiplication. 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. Oh, 225. I got a match. If you notice, the smallest one that they have in common. So 225 is my least common multiple of 45 and 75. Notice I just stopped, just like I did in the last one. Once I found that there was something in common, I stopped. I didn't bother wasting my time of keep multiplying my 75 out. So that's the process of finding the least common multiple. You list the multiples of both numbers and then find the smallest one that they both have in common. Thank you for watching.